miss me? It is your girl, Hello Awesome, and I have already reviewed the following books for you. Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. That's the first book we reviewed in my previous videos, and and then we reviewed Pretties by Scott Westerfeld, and then we reviewed Specials, again, by Scott Westerfeld. Then the final book we reviewed together is Extras by Scott Westerfeld. Alright, we reviewed all of these books together. Look at that, that's a lot of books to review. Alright, it's like schoolwork. Alright, so now that we reviewed those, I'm going to review with you a book for a character we've been mysteriously kind of hating, loving. Shay. Scott Westerfeld, Shay's story. You might have seen this book in a couple of my other videos because I didn't have all the books. I read them. I checked them out from the library before. So this is, I own them all now because I just had to own them. They're a great, franchise series, whatever have you. Alright, so Shay's story. She's a character that is kind of the anti-villain and a fallen hero. Now, here's why. In the beginning of this book, it's actually a graphic novel, which is really great. You get to see the world. You get to see hoverboards. You get to see these belly rings, the sensors, the webcams, the cameras that fly in the sky and all that we get introduced to. And you meet Shay with her crim friends when they were uglies pulling pranks on pretties. And also you get to see what Tally looks like for the first time in the entire book. That little insecure girl right there, that's Tally on the bed. So, it tells us the story of how Shay meets Tally, but first she was just living her daily life, kind of just doing schoolwork and counting down 1,461 days to be exact until she becomes a pretty. So she was counting down to her birthday. Okay, and then she meets Zane, which is Tally's love interest who dies in the Diego Wars. So there you go. And he was also Shay. He was in love with Shay before he met Tally, just in case you didn't know. So there we go. So what happens is he asks Shay to join the Crims, and then they're pulling a prank on the pretties by making all their clothes disintegrate, and they're riding on the Rusty Ruins, which used to be our city in the book, basically everybody's city, and we destroyed ourselves with our obsession with technological advances. So yeah, good job, society. Anywho, so once that happens, they're also sneaking into Pretty Town. They're ripping off pretty kids with clothes and pretty much doing very inappropriate things that's totally against the rules, but they want to do it because, hell, they're going to be pretty soon too, so it really won't matter, right? Who the hell cares what happens? Okay? So after that, they all meet a guy named David in the forest by, they were just sneaking off like usual, and then what happens is they meet another ugly from another city. He tells them about David and the smoke and the legend that they can just sneak off and stay who they are. Shay's still into being pretty, so don't get your panties in a twist. She wasn't always a rebel. She figured out that it was okay to be who she was because she fell in love with David when she first met him. And her and the Crims were planning to run away with him to the smoke. Her mostly because she was into David. And Zane because he was interested in her, and everybody else just kind of followed suit because, hell, what, the leaders are doing it, let's do it too. Like monkey in the middle, follow the leader. Follow leader, follow leader. Anywho, I've had lots of caffeine today. So anywho, once they sneak off to meet David, Zane chickens out because, one, he meets people from special circumstances. They tell him he can't be a pretty, and they also interrogate him about the smoke. Shay and Zane see each other after a long time when he becomes a pretty, when he's in the pleasure garden. Basically, that's a garden for sex. Right there. And, tells her that he was going to sneak off because he was interested in her. He was very into her at that time. So, Shay is kind of astounded at that, and then he is meeting up with Helen, his pleasure garden mate for the night, I guess. And Then Shay receives a letter from David also, because after she sees Zane, she wants to run away still, because that's why she went to go get Zane. She wants to, chicken out of chickening out and do it. She wants to run away permanently. So she runs into a letter from David saying, this is difficult, this is a difficult letter to write, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't try to stop you from making the biggest mistake of your life. The thing is, I know you're in love with me, and that's the wrong reason to leave home. It's a huge commitment to run away to the smoke, and I don't want you to give up everything you know just for me. I know this may hurt now, but you'll be better off for it in the long run. So she gets pissed off. She thinks she's an egocentric asshole, and she tries to, ignore it. And when she sees Zane, she runs into a girl named Tally who just caused big havoc at a pretty party tower and caused fire, and seeing her just to see her friend Paris, who also became a pretty. And her and Shay become close friends, they hoverboard, they pull pretty pranks, and Shay realizes how brave Tally is, and she wants Tally to meet David, even though her and David are not in a talking thing anymore because of everything that went down between them. In the comic book, she wants Tally to meet him so she realizes how much it sucks what the world is doing to them and forcing them to be pretty. So Tally still doesn't care. She's like, you've seen the pretties and look how wonderful they are. She literally uses that phrasing, look how wonderful they are. And Shay's like, I used to be like that. I used to think they're wonderful, but Tally, they all look the same. She doesn't want to run away because she's scared or because she thinks she's better off the way she is. She just doesn't like the fact that everybody's kind of the same. Her character understands a lot more than we're giving her credit for in the books, because Scott kind of makes her the enemy of Tally, like the friends that became bitter towards each other. Tally tells her to shut up and stop talking about this nonsense. She's sick of it. So Shay runs off and joins the smoke with a bunch of new smoky kids and sees David again. But she does, before she runs off, she does leave Tally with a letter and tells her, I'm going to miss you and stuff. And just in case you change your mind and come to the smoke, here's a set of instructions that says, take the coaster straight past the gap until you find the one that's long and flat. Cold is the sea and watch for breaks. At the second, make the worst mistake. 4 days later, take the side you despise and look in the flowers for 5 bug eyes. Once they're found, enjoy the flight. Then wait on the bald head until it's light. Basically, Diego's rangers used to help runaways go to the smoke from other cities. So if Tally were to run away, this was basically a coded map to lead her to Shay, so they can be friends again. They're running to the smoke, her, David, and everybody else. She saved somebody's life, Shay. So she is heroic, she's brave. We're just treating her like the villain, but frankly, wouldn't you be pissed off if somebody stole your boyfriend? And I know what you're going to say. Before you even say it, you think that David and Shay are not dating, right? Right? You think that they're just friends. No. He's a player. Look. Here, that's David and Shay, and they're literally kissing. Come on now, people. They're totally dating. They kissed, and he was literally telling her all kinds of personal stuff. And one day they were going off to plow the fields or get food, run into cute little Tally coming in, saying hi, just came to say hello, and that she couldn't stand missing Shay. When really, this is by the time special circumstances convinced her, basically forced her to betray her friends, and this is her following their instructions like a total... I'm fine. Her character's just a little bit... She's like anybody else. She's like the rest of us. We do the same thing. She at first didn't want to betray her friend, but she did in the end. So anyway, Shay is standing up for Tally because everybody's telling Shay, this is just too coincidental that she'd come to see you. And David got mad at her because she left a coded message for Tally. Like that, maybe that's why she's here, because she already knows how to find them, and she told special circumstances and everything. Like Shay could have just given away the entire smoke, all because she wanted to see her friend again. Like, does she not know what the hell is in store if something goes wrong with this? Anywho, so Shay keeps persuading David for days to give Tally a chance. And then she doesn't realize that her pushing David to say, Tally's brave, she's amazing, that actually kind of convinces David to like Tally, and of course they kiss the same way him and Shay did under the full moon. So again, player. Forrest Tarzan, player. Bad. Anywho, so he also gives Tally freaking gloves to keep herself safe, because Shay, on the other hand, has blisters and knows that those are David's old gloves. Because look, that's blisters. Tally doesn't have blisters. Hers are lessened. Anywho, so Shay thinks that Tally has a boyfriend back home and that she's lying to David, which is not cool. So she wants Tally to tell everybody about her little locket, which is actually not something from her boyfriend. It's from Dr. Cable to click when she finds the smoke, so they can come and collect their uglies from each city. So anyway, everything goes normal for a few days. And then one day, after her and Tally have that big conversation, special circumstances burst in because Tally destroys the locket by the bonfire that they have. And special circumstances comes, and of course they use their famous line, I don't want to hurt you, but I will if I have to. Wow, it's so eloquently put. That's the way they enforce it. And then Shay figures out, just like everybody's been telling her for weeks, that Tally is the traitor in Shay's story. So Tally's been double-crossing everybody from David to Shay. She was willing to ruin their friendship forever and Shay's trust in her. And she's literally crying. And then people tell her, she's just making things up because Tally obviously didn't do it. Tally's kind of just comatose. Shay's saying, are you blind? Look what's happening around you. She did this, and that's when her hatred of Tally freaking starts. Because honestly, at first Tally didn't know that she did it, so she was lying like she did before, but this time she didn't know she was lying. She tells Shay that she doesn't know what happened, and then the specials take her away to Dr. Cable because Dr. Cable is now going to reward Tally, and Shay was like, I knew it. He knew it. Everybody was telling me that you were going to do this, but I didn't want to believe it. And then finally, Dr. Cable meets Shay, and then tells her, Shay, my name is Dr. Cable. Special Circumstances has been watching you for a long time, ever since you were one of those crims. The rest of them slipped away, all but you and Zane. Zane was very helpful, he told me all about this David and the smoke. But it was you who provided the vital link, leaving Tally those directions. So she's mocking Shay, and then tells Shay, so thank you. And don't worry, I'll see to it that you come out of this very, very pretty. And you see Shay as the final result, the pretty that she never wanted to be. See that? So now you can see why Shay kind of hates Tally and Shay's true character. She's not a bad person. She's not a bad friend. She's just been betrayed so much by Zane and by Tally and by David and everybody that she ever trusted. Like, you can see why she hates Tally. It's pretty obvious why. Because at first I thought, it was wrong of her to hate Tally in all those books. Like, after Uglies, she hated Tally even when they were pretties. And when they were specials, she made her lackey. So, I can see where the hate stems. Tally betrayed her like everybody else. And Shay placed a lot of trust in her. And she talked her up to everybody in the smoke and her boyfriend. Which on her part was stupid to trust Tally with her boyfriend, I guess, because, she took him. That's it. That is Shay's story, and you have to read this to fully understand the character of Shay. And it was written by Scott Westerfeld and Devin Grayson, illustrations by Stephen Cummings. So, read it to understand the full character of Shay. She's not just the mean girl. She is also somebody who's been really hurt. She's not even the villain. She's just somebody who's been hurt. Not a sidekick either. I think she's a fallen hero. Alright, in the next one we'll be talking about Bogus to Bubbly, which is a guide to pretties and the world of uglies and everything that we will ever need to know about this genre. Alright, bye!